within a stone's throw of the zoo. Well, people have been strolling around, enjoying the sunshine. That's gone now.
Look at Saturn tonight. Pete, what do you reckon?
I think it was lovely and clear when we arrived, but now it's...
Salty cloud.
I think some of the deeper sky objects, if it clears enough to see those, would be nice.
This is the first time I have tried astronomy from a big city. Things I would like to look at are M13 globular cluster containing Rhodes Galaxy, or as you might better know it, M81. Regular astronomers form to meet every month when
Doyle's classic literature, which featured Sherlock Holmes, to Regents Park and do all sorts of investigation for him. So that's where the name Baker Street Irregular Astronomers comes from.
What about light pollution?
People in London, and the way we see it, why not at least try it? We observe things that are above the light pollution, or we just accept that the light pollution's always going to be there, limiting our observations.
Sort of the smallest and the largest.
I'd say the largest telescope we've had set up, so we would be looking at the planets, maybe the moon, some asteroids, and also the sun during the day.
Tom, thank you very much.
we arrived to join the party. Unfortunately, there are also an amazing number of telescopes to look at, but nothing...
OK, 15 times, so you'd be able to pick out the dark patches on the moon, which are...
The shadows come out nicely.
When you've got a phase on it, you get that love that's there, and, and the mountains as well.
I think binoculars are ideal. They're non-expensive, they're portable, and it proves that astronomy doesn't have to be cumbersome or expensive.
Well,
smallish telescope, but you've got plenty of light gathering.
Yeah, it's that.
Well, I like the big deep sky objects. I like the Andromeda galaxy.
Oh, yes.
Being able to see a galaxy in its entirety.
Yeah.
But it's also fun. And Jupiter recently.
And the moon, I should imagine, looks pretty impressive as well.
It's nice and easy to use. Once you've got it aligned, you can just find any object you want to. So even if you don't know anything about finding your way around the sky, this will do it all for you.
And so, how long does it take to set up?
I would say probably...
crave dark skies, and every photon of light counts when we look up at the sky. Whether it's at planets in our solar system, nebulae from space polluted out, especially London. Lights are the main culprits, polluted or deprived. They can...
pollution.
Indeed.
It gets in the way. And in the middle of
to them, which is them reflecting the street lights, to block out some of the wavelengths of light that are caused by the street lights. So there's a particular kind of filter that will block out that orange glow by sodium street lights.
It's a bit like peeling that. You don't fit it on the front of the telescope.
No, these fit down at the eyepiece end of the telescope, so they just fit in just at the front of the eyepiece here. And
in fact, telescope, and then away goes the orange.
It looks at just the wavelengths that we want. So if you're looking at specific elements and specific molecules in there, so it might be things like sulfur and oxygen and
detail of the nebula that you're looking at.
Yeah, it only lets through those waves and the towns around us. So it just lets through what we really want and gives us a much clue.
While it's simply the effect of the moon's slightly elongated...
This is certainly a substantial telescope. What size and make is it? Our object, it hits the primary mirror here, then goes back up to the secondary and finally travels all the way down to the centre of the tube to your eyepiece here.
Moons of Jupiter and Saturn. So.
Yeah, is the moon and planet something you look a lot at?
And our star party is still busy. We get a brief, tantalising glimpse of Saturn and its moon Titan before the clouds roll in again. Through a small view of this gas giant. A larger telescope, such as an 8-inch, will give an enormous storm raging in the planet's atmosphere.
Simon, I'm glad you're here. This is a most impressive telescope.
It is indeed, but you do get stunning views of the planets as well.
This was made here.
Well, we're here to continue the trend, hopefully.
We are indeed. We're on historic ground. Simon, thank you very much. Well, we call it the Double Star Programme.
To Corvus, from Hercules to Puppis, all the way through to Vulpecula, there are 88 constellations in the sky. But today, 88 for another reason. It's Patrick.
This is Patrick's own private birthday party in Selsey. All his friends are helping to get the mark. People are flying in from all over the place, from South Africa, from Finland, Many, because Patrick is also marking the 700th programme of The Sky at Night. Steel alignment that he'd like.
So Patrick...
I'll go for Crater.
OK, why?
Because...
OK, and how would you find Crater in the...
Some difficulty.
To illustrate our 88 what could be better than Uranus collection might date 25 drawings today? To get things going, all 88.
So Pete, name a constellation.
Can I just ask, do you want the Taurus?
Taurus, why Taurus?
Because you've got one cluster, and image.
Oh, it's got to be Pegasus. Oh. Then you also know you're too far behind.
OK, why?
Because of M50, probably the moon. Carriage is what's behind, out the back.
dwarf galaxy.
Of course.
Now become incredibly famous. First discovery of a galaxy edging into the Milky Way. Milky Way galaxy, and we are observing.
Happy birthday! Greetings card.
Oh, excellent. You have to explain why.
Well,
okay.
Of course, the whole of the Milky has everything.
There you go. I know you like
Major. And it's minor.
Baltic means the South Celestial Pole.
It had one of my most favourite objects in it, at least.
Okay. So what's the object?
Which is,
Nova?
Yep, which is a recurrent nova.
Okay.
Victoria Crater on Mars.
Yeah.
It has you just looking in. Apollo 16. And taking your wonderful telescope with you.
Microscopium.
Microscopium of the world.
Actually, I wrote my PhD thesis on
nebula.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Having to do too much fiddling.
Absolutely.
And it.
Rado?
Dorado, I don't think we have. No, you can have that. The goldfish.
Octans.
Octans. Southern Pole.
I was going to have that.
Well, school go to Africa or South America. Suddenly you see it's tremendous. It's very sparse.
If I had Vulpecula.
No one's Vulpecula?
I was going to go for that.
Scorpius.
Well, that's my star sign.
Okay.
Well, I know my constellations as much as the doctor knows the telephone numbers of his patients. But
Go on then.
And that is Fornax.
Why Fornax?
It's named after Goddess, who was extremely good looking. The location for the ultra deep
present for your Cygnus.
Ah, Lyra.
And that's really
the brightest
appeals to me is that.
But a marvellous star-forming region. Well, we've been taking some splendid pictures of it with Herschel, the Herschel Space Telescope.
George, what about you? Do you...
I dog that.
So, Derek, George?
Cassie for short.
Excellent. Oh, well, there you go.
An even better reason.
There you go, that sorts out.
Come on. No, you can join the...
All constellations are familiar friends, and others we have to search out. My personal favourite, Crux, the Southern Cross, I had to wait many years to see when I travelled down to the Southern Hemisphere.
Well, back now to me in Regents Park in the middle of London. With the
currently obscured again, but we're going to try for the moon in a little bit.
What have you seen on Saturn?
Saturn, we've seen the...
that is amazing.
But the aperture helps, so...
Yeah, of course it is. This is how big it is. So what would you normally sky?
I do like deep sky more than anything else, but living in central London is a rarity. I need to take it outside of London.
Should be a good month for observing. The spring constellations of...
They're all going to gather together at their utmost next month. You'll have a beautiful view because you'll have the crescent moon there, then you'll have a to the horizon, you'll have...
Come back and we'll be getting quite large for the moon. You found us a nice lunar crater for this month, haven't you?
Ah, yes, Theophilus. This is one of my favourite craters.
It is lovely.
The best time, that's the bit which divides the bright bit of the moon, April. That's a really good time to see it.
You going to image it?
If it's clear, I'll be out there with my camera.
I did once try to draw it. It's like getting out into space. And we can look at others, in particular M65 and M...
So, in the back leg of Leo...
It's remarkable that you can see these distant
islands.
That is
pretty remarkable.
Just a pair of binoculars.
It's getting late, and it's just the die-hard astronomers left. Had we had a break in the clouds, I had hoped to see the Orion Nebula. Small telescopes will show a brightening due to the hot young stars burning in. Its last close encounter was in February this year, behind by the Deep Impact collision. Stardust has been an enormously successful mission, which has travelled 6 billion kilometres and brought us closer to understanding our...
A complete map.
We've covered 95% of the surface already between full moon and no shadows. It makes a big difference, you planet, to find more out about.
Well, obviously, that's going to take some time, and then we'll do a full sky at night programme.
Absolutely.
Now, moving out from Mercury, let's turn to Saturn, or about its largest moon, Titan, and the ring.
And as the seasons are changing, we've seen this weather.
What we're seeing now is clouds, presumably meaning wetter, so it looks like it's rained under these clouds, which is great. But we didn't know how long those valleys had been dry for. It could have been thousands of years, but it now seems likely that every year at this time of year it rains. And
methane rain.
Methane rivers, even as we speak, flowing down some of these formerly dry valleys.
And this is all because the season's long. We've just passed the, or 30 Earth years long, we've just passed the...
And this was the closest it can get. And the moon was full at the same time. And the
size of the moon in the sky is something like 10% in all as it moves closer and further from the Earth. The effect is minuscule.
It doesn't cause earthquakes or anything like that.
It's all nonsense generated by the press, fortunately, I think we can say. But it has given lots of cause for some lovely photographs for people to send in of the full moon and its splendour. These can be...
Dave, Chris, thank you very much. And thanks also to those who are taking part in each newsletter time. You can get the newsletter on our website, bbc.skynight. And also that website contains a great deal of extra. So all good things come to an end. It's a fascinating evening. And when I come back next month, I'll be talking about Saturn. Until then, good night.
More gazing upwards here on Spotting from 7:30. And coming up next, we're heading to Harvard University for a justice lecture from Michael Sandel.